Stay savage, your boy Shino Bentro was poppin'. Today we are back with some Naruto. Guess what? We're gonna be talking about the boy Mitsuki. Yes, Mitsuki Orochimaru. I mean, he don't got no last fucking name, so I don't know what to fucking call him. So right now we're gonna talk about him. Talk about where he stands in the Boruto groups, you know, Team Konohamaru and shit like that, where he stands in the next generation. And we're gonna talk a little bit about his Sage Mode and the true potential that he possesses. Because one thing is for certain, if you read into his guide and you look into his roots, this man has a Sage Mode that's not like any other. On top of him being so young, this man is very powerful. This man is probably one of the youngest, most deadly ninjas to come into the next generation. So if you guys are excited about today's episode, make sure you hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe for daily content. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let's get it.
Whipping all this dope up in the chopper. We fuck all you bitches at the trap house. I can't trust you, I can't give you real address. I can't trust you, I can't give you real address. It don't mean that be like Jerry Stacker. I might fall in love with my trap house.
So let's talk about Mitsuki, right? Mitsuki is part of Boruto's team in the next generation. We know him to hang out with Boruto and Sarada, kind of like Sai, Sakura, and Naruto, or even Sasuke. But he reminds me more of Sai in terms of his personality. We see him as this quiet kid. We don't see him speaking too loudly. You don't see him being too ecstatic. But at the same token, we never seen Sasuke do it either. You know, he's one of those persons who always give off a positive vibe, always giving off like a boyish and a boisterous smile. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of gives that side vibe, but it also seems as if it could be fake. Now, one thing we do know he plays is a bit of a conscience to Boruto. He talks to Boruto a lot throughout like the Boruto movie as well as throughout the Boruto manga. When you do see him, you know, he speaks his mind. He lets Boruto, you know, you don't think that's a good idea. Maybe you think you should go talk to the 7 Hokage. Maybe you should join in the Chunin exam because they signed us up and shit like that. So we always see Mitsuki basically playing an important role to Boruto, letting him know when he's doing something wrong or when he should do something differently. And you know, he always voices his opinion. So that's something I do like about the boy Mitsuki. It's kind of different from Sasuke and Sai, because Sai kind of, you know, goes with the flows, or he does whatever the mission is like at hand. Whatever the mission is, that's what he goes ahead and do. He doesn't really speak his mind too oftenly. You know, he says what he has to say when he needs to say it, and similar with Sasuke. So Sasuke is probably one of those people who just sits there, you know, he keeps to himself until like a mission or like a dire situation when something really going critical and he needs Naruto to jump into action. He basically gives Naruto a heads up, yo, do this, we need this, you know, stop being an idiot, stop fucking around, you know, get to the point. Now, looking at Mitsuki, there's a lot of unique different factors with Mitsuki, right? Let's start off with him being Orochimaru's son. So, right off the bat, when I first seen this, I know that Orochimaru is a snake, you know, he's probably asexual, you know, so this man reproduced himself. So I'm like, yo, this man Orochimaru straight had a baby. I'm like, who is the mother? Because everybody at one point in time, you cannot lie to me. You cannot sit there and think to yourself, like, you know, you thought Orochimaru just was going to have a girlfriend. Because honestly, when I thought about it, I was like, oh, well, who did Orochimaru get with? And then I'm thinking to myself, like, wait, who want to get with Orochimaru? So it was one of those things where it was just like, I couldn't fathom somebody actually being with Orochimaru, but then I thought it back in my head, maybe it would have been Anko, you know, that would have been weird, you know, because he was kind of like a teacher-student to Anko, and, you know, he gave her a curse mark, and, you know, he basically took her on the wing, you know, taught her how to counter different poisons and shit like that. So it was probably one of those weird things that I didn't expect to happen, but at the same time, it's anime. Sometimes the anime take a left turn, sometimes take a right turn, they go up and down, and you might end up somewhere you never thought you would be. So, you know, I was like, oh, maybe he did get with Anko. I do know she, you know, she kind of chubbied up towards the end of Naruto, so maybe, you know, she couldn't find anybody, and Orochimaru didn't care. You know, he probably liked them on the thick side because, you know, it's Orochimaru. But at the same time, we do see some little flamboyant things from Orochimaru, so, you know, it could be on some stuff where he just wanted to adopt a child. You know, maybe he would adopt a child and, you know, like do experiments on it. But the thing is, it's completely opposite. Orochimaru created a whole bunch of Mitsukis, so there's like a whole bunch of prototypes. You know, he's basically trying to create the perfect Mitsuki in order to create a perfect human, somebody to be strong as Naruto was, basically having Naruto basically look over this creation and some shit like that, and, you know, having this creation to exceed and be as strong as Naruto. So I thought it was a little bit weird, you know, that there was a whole bunch of other Mitsukis and not just the original Mitsuki, because I was under the impression that there was only one. So if you look back into the guide, you know, Mitsuki started figuring out there's another Mitsuki, there's like an older one, which is like a prototype, kind of similar to the Mitsuki we have now. now, and through that Mitsuki we start to see a lot of different things. Now if you look at Mitsuki's moveset from Road to Boruto, if you played the Storm series, you see a lot of Orochimaru characteristics in there. You see a lot of snaky type stuff, you know, he got Mr. Stretch Arms, he kind of looks like Mr. Fantastic, you know, but a lot of things we don't get to see yet is so much of like the snake aspects, because we do know that he has like a snake personality because of Orochimaru, and that's something, you know, Orochimaru and him share similarly. If you look at the face, you look at the eyes, you know, he kind of has that snake glare on him. He has that little vibe that gives a little sinister snake, right? Now, a couple of things that I thought were unique with Mitsuki was that the fact that he didn't actually use any of the snake techniques, you know, as Orochimaru was switching to snakes, or he would actually summon some snakes at some point in time. But in the beginning of Naruto, I guess, you know, we didn't see Naruto going full on Rasengans, and like we only seen shadow clones in the beginning, so I guess they want to hold off until like towards like the middle of the series, or kind of a Shippuden version of Boruto, basically where we can see Mitsuki give out his full potential. We can see like him being, you know, developing and being in his prime a little bit, and we can see him use snake techniques. But one thing was for certain, once we saw this man Sage Mode, it was probably one of the craziest things I ever witnessed in my life. Now if you guys look back into Mitsuki's like guiding, you'll see Mitsuki with the older Mitsuki, there's a little bit of a conflict. Mitsuki lost control, he started to use his Sage Mode, something that I really wanted to be in Road to Boruto. Now one thing that's different about this Sage Mode compared to a lot of other people's Sage Modes, you know, he has a different type of chakra. He almost has this ethereal like chakra, and that's what they're called ethereal snakes. Like something about his chakra is a lot different from a normal Sage Mode chakra. You know, we see Naruto with his Sage Mode, you know, before he gets it fused with, you know, Kurama's like chakra and shit like that, before he goes into the Kyuubi mode and shit like that, before he goes into like full on Sage Mode and shit like that. We see him kind of, you know, just having this real normal ass vibe. You know, he just didn't have anything extra. He didn't have no orbs, he didn't have no special like aura, he just had like the eye changing, right? But if you look at Mitsuki's gives off this like ethereal snakes, you know, he kind of has this like Medusa vibe going on. Now it's pretty apparent to me that his Sage Mode might be stronger than Naruto's, Jiraiya, even Kabuto, as well as Orochimaru's in their initial phase. Now, although you guys are gonna be like, how the hell would he be stronger than Naruto, blah blah blah, I didn't say he's stronger than Naruto's Sage Mode full on. I said in their initial phase, you know, basically meaning when they first got it, you know. So I'm talking about Naruto when he originally got his Sage Mode, when he fought against Pain. When we first see him first fight against Pain, not before he could find out the true extent of his power, basically going to the maximum potential of his Sage Mode, but only in the beginning phase. Because if you look at Mitsuki's initial Sage Mode, this shit is off the chain. We see some ethereal snakes running rapid. Just imagine being chased down by that type of shit. On top of him having a lot of chakra control, which is something we've seen like executed from him a lot. He basically has like good control over the wind blades, something we didn't see Naruto have early on in his like younger years, basically when he first came into the ninja world, basically when he was becoming a genin. All we saw was him use shadow clone, or, you know, transformation jutsus, even sexy jutsu. It wasn't something that we actually seen him use like a super powerful ninjutsu. We only got to see like transformations, you know, clones and shit like that, versus, you know, this man Mitsuki is throwing wind dicing blades that can possibly slice you in half and leave you there rendered completely useless, as well as using his body to stretch to further lengths. And we probably will see him use even more types of Sage Jutsu to like a higher extent. Now his summoning techniques are something that we haven't got to SS yet, but the thing is, once you get a Sage Mode, you know, it's pretty common that you might eventually summon something. And you gotta think about it, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, they all summon unique respectives of the Sannin, you know, so we might see the exact same thing coming from Boruto's group. And something a lot of people always ask me in the comment section, do you think Boruto, Sarada, Mitsuki, and Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki will become, you know, the next Sannins, will become the next sages and shit like that? I think it's pretty apparent. I don't think that would skip a generation. I think the Hokage trend may change a bit, you know, because we did have Tsunade, which was a Hokage, then we had Naruto, which was Hokage, and we make it Sarada who wants to be Hokage. Might even get Mitsuki, but I don't think it'll be like Mitsuki becoming Hokage, because if you think about it, Mitsuki was created by Orochimaru, and what if he has a detonating switch to completely make him flip shit and go crazy and turn evil and basically turn his back on the village? But something we did see Orochimaru do that he wanted Mitsuki to like go through it, he wanted him to stay close to Naruto's son, because he wanted Naruto's son to be like this guiding light for him. He wanted him to be similar to how Naruto was with Sasuke. Every time Sasuke got lost in the darkness, or every time he couldn't find his way, he wanted, you know, Naruto to come back and basically save Sasuke. Kind of similar with Boruto and Mitsuki. He wants Boruto to be that like light for Mitsuki. Anytime Mitsuki loses his way, you know, he wants Boruto to be able to come back, say, hey, you know, get your shit back together. If you leave the village, I'm gonna be that guy to come and get you, you know what I'm saying? But I think it may be opposite, because if you look at Mitsuki's personality and you look at Boruto's personality, you see how they act, you know, I can actually see Boruto going rogue, and a lot of people talk about Boruto going rogue, and I can see see Mitsuki probably being that person to go ahead and try to get him back. Now, a lot of people may say, well, why don't you think that'll be Sarada's role? Well, it's kind of apparent that, you know, they kind of want to make it where it's a lot different from the normal means of, like, you know, the Uzumaki going after the Uchiha, or even they might even flip it where the Uchiha goes after, you know, the Uzumaki, kind of similar to like Sarada going after Boruto. But I do see it being more Mitsuki, because if you think about it, Sarada's personality is still like mirrors, you know, Sakura's, Sasuke's, as well as Karin, but she does have traits of Naruto in there. But I still feel like she's gonna be that background girl character, even though she's a lot stronger than Sakura was at that point in time. I still feel as though she's gonna still play that big background role. You know, she's still gonna be the main force that's in the background protecting the village, because we do see Orochimaru talks about the sun and the moon, and he kind of wants Boruto to be the sun to, you know, Mitsuki's moon or some shit like that. And basically how it makes me feel as though he wants basically Boruto to protect Mitsuki if Mitsuki ever strays off. But basically we have Boruto's personality, which has been foreshadowed as him basically being like Sasuke. You know, I said it basically a whole bunch of fucking times, but if you think about it, he's a lot like Sasuke. He's more like Sasuke than he is like Naruto. You know, eventually I feel like he's gonna stray off, and Mitsuki's gonna be that person that goes after him, because if you actually look throughout the Boruto series and you look through the Boruto movies as well as the manga, like I said earlier on, you do see Mitsuki being his conscience a lot of the time. Now I feel like the driven factor that basically pushed Mitsuki to getting stronger is him wanting to get Boruto back, him having a determination to want to basically stop his friend from being evil or following a dark path. So honestly, I feel like Mitsuki is really like super strong. Like the potential of the Sage mode is like untapped right now, because if you think about it, this is his initial phase of his Sage mode. We haven't seen the true potential of it. We only know about the ethereal snakes. We only know about like him having like excellent chakra control, him being able to having mastery over wind style, as well as using a bit of earth style. But the thing is, like, this man Mitsuki can later on become something very powerful, because look at his age compared to the age Naruto basically went Sage mode in Shippuden. And if you think about it, we have Minato who couldn't even master Sage mode. We had Kabuto who basically got it way towards the end of Naruto, as well as like a whole bunch of other people like with Sage mode that basically turn into frogs. Because if you know, like, if you go into Sage mode and you can't control it, you lose yourself and you become a frog. And you know, we have a lot of people that couldn't master Sage mode, and there are very rare people that could do it. But this man was created, he's programmed, so it's kind of similar to him already being able to execute it. It's like it's already in him. They basically dropped some DLC into his brain and he knew what to fucking do. So let me know how strong you think Mitsuki will become. Let me know like how you feel about his Sage mode. Let me know the infinite possibilities you think it has to come. And with that being said, my name is Shino Ben Trill. Stay true and stay real. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and until next time, see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you got any discussion like recommendations, leave those in the comment section. But with that being said, I hope you have a blessed day. See you guys later. Bye.